Well, you go to the Ninth Circuit, and it's a disgrace, and I'm going to put in a major complaint because you cannot win, if you're us, a case in the Ninth Circuit. And I think it's a disgrace. This was an Obama judge. And I'll tell you what, it's not going to happen like this anymore.
Well, that was President Trump taking aim at the liberal Ninth Circuit and one judge in particular, U.S. District Judge John S. Tiger, who was nominated by President Obama back in 2012. Judge Tiger issued a nationwide injunction against Trump's newly announced emergency restrictions on asylum claims. This means anyone seeking asylum can do it anywhere they want. That's instead of the ports of entry that the Trump administration sought to restrict it to. The debate, this topic is Francisco Hernandez, immigration attorney, and Art Arthur from the Center for Immigration Studies. Art, let's start with you. This is basically saying, oh, come on in any way that you can. I mean, that seems a little dangerous to sort of change the rules of how people seeking asylum get into the country.
Well, and it's the danger that Judge Tiger actually ignores. And in fact, he seems to be completely unaware of the dangers that exist for people who enter the United States illegally. 68% of all of those individuals are assaulted during that trip. 1/3 of all women are sexually assaulted during the trip through Mexico to the United States to enter illegally. What the Trump administration is attempting to do is dissuade individuals from entering the United States illegally, to have an orderly process by which individuals go to ports of entry. And yet, for some reason, Judge Tiger has said that individuals who are entering the United States illegally have some right to enter the United States illegally, or at least that the Trump administration hasn't acted properly in constraining them from doing so.
No, it's absolutely incorrect. It's not true. It happens to be the law. If he doesn't like it, why didn't he get Congress to do the immigration reform he's promised for 2 years? It happens to be the law.
Francisco,
excuse me,
Francisco, you know that it's not the law.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. If it's the law, then isn't it the law that you have to go through a port of entry? Isn't it the law that if you want to go into a country, that there are processes to legally immigrate? And Francisco, I believe that there ought to be a legal immigration policy. I'm for immigration. I'm not against it. I'm even for asylum for people who are truly endangered. But this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about people just showing up. So how do you respond to that?
Well, because they still have to make a claim, pass the threshold burden of proof to show that they have at least the opportunity for political asylum. And the people making the evaluation of whether they have shown that proof are employees of the State Department. It doesn't mean they get political asylum because they cross in a legal port of entry or a non-legal port of entry. It doesn't matter. The proof is the same, and the people evaluating are employees of President Trump. So it doesn't make a difference. Where they cross, they still have to show up.
They don't, but they don't have a right. They have a right to apply for asylum, but they don't have eligibility for asylum. And what the Trump administration attempted to do was restrict the ability of individuals who have entered the United States illegally in violation of U.S. law and who have committed a crime from applying for asylum. They don't have They can't come through legally through a port of entry anyway. It doesn't matter if they line up at the port of entry. They're not going to be let in anyway until they're heard on their political asylum claim. By the way, why don't we just give but if they show up at the port of entry, then we can allow them to enter in an orderly fashion. We don't have them hiring smugglers. We don't have them hiring the cartels to enter the United States legally. Yes, there might be metering. We might be limiting the number of people who go.
How do you think
they got here by passing through Mexico?
Francisco, let me weigh in here, Francisco.
Sure, Governor.
Let me ask you this. If a person shows up, you say it doesn't have to be a point of entry, just anywhere, and they say, I need asylum. So if that's the case, where are they held until this investigation happens? Do we let them roam freely in the country? Where are they held without the criticism that they're being held illegally or unlawfully?
In order for them to make a claim of political asylum, they have to go to an immigration official and stake their claim. So even if they cross in a non-port of entry, they still have to go to an immigration official to set out their proof. And if they go through a legal port of entry, there is no mechanism where they can come in legally anyway. That is the misconception that we're operating under. They cannot. Why don't we give them... Go ahead.
There's no misconception there because they can allege, they can assert credible fear if they go through a port of entry. If they're found to have a credible fear, then they're placed in removal proceedings and they can make an application for asylum. That's exactly what the Trump order says.
But the law says it doesn't matter where, even if they come in from a non-legal port of entry, they still have to go to an immigration officer to make their claim for political asylum. Otherwise, they can never even apply. It doesn't make a difference. This is about nothing.
All that
it's a political ghost.
But all that the Trump order said was that they couldn't...
Well, the Trump order can't trump Congress.
Excuse me, guys. Shouldn't it trouble us all that a judge, a single federal judge, decides for the entire nation that he's going to just upend the elected president's policies? I think that's got to be a little bit troubling.
He did not upend it. He just said that's the law.
And Governor, that's exactly
I wish we could spend more time. We have to go. I'm so sorry. We'll try to do it better next time. Up next, Laura recently spoke to a UC Berkeley student about how she was being targeted for her Christian beliefs. This after she dared abstain from a vote on LGBTQ rights. Now, this is a can't miss defending the first segment, which is coming up next.